Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 15 of the Flow University YouTube channel. My name is Stefan Boding, and in today's episode, we'll be talking about the modern issues with fitness. A lot of what the individual sees today within the fitness realm isn't predicated on human longevity, performance, or even necessarily the functionality of the body. This has been to the detrimental effect of how individuals depict, engage, and relate to fitness. A lot of individuals do not begin to step within a fitness journey simply because they do not understand exactly what it is that they should be doing or exactly what are the right protocols. This comes with the upheaval of modern trends within fitness, which isn't necessarily predicated on the individual's health and longevity. In this episode, I'll be giving away 5 of the major issues with the current structure of the fitness industry. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of the Flow University YouTube channel and that you take away a lot of value and use this episode to help you in peeling back the veil that has been cast over your eyes. In the removing of this veil, you will be able to see exactly what you should be doing and exactly what you should not be doing, and how to not fall prey to any new fads, ideologies, or viewpoints. I hope you guys are ready for this week's episode. Let's get started. I cannot believe that war is the best solution. No one won the last war, and no one will win the next war. Eleanor Roosevelt. As we begin episode 15 of the Flow University YouTube channel, the issues with modern fitness, going into key number 1, fads, bottle and lightning. Individuals, especially in the West, we live in a capitalist society. And so within a capitalist society, the businesses or trends that you see is predicated on what the consumer wants. This is to the benefit of giving people what they desire, but to the negative effect that they do not necessarily give people what they need. And a lot of times, what individuals see within the fitness industry is mechanisms and protocols and implementations that is systematized and geared towards the emotional aspects of ourselves as human beings. Simply put, individuals are hacking the emotional aspects of your being. And in doing so, this is leading to you being influenced to engage in certain behaviors. Within the fitness industry, this is largely seen in a variety of businesses, tactics, and niches. But for you, the individual, in understanding the detrimental effect of this, is that you must be aware is a good time the same thing as helping you to grow and better and improve yourself. Now, there's nothing wrong with sparking those emotions. There's nothing wrong with being in an environment where you can express and fully be yourself. This is one of the reasons why I created this channel. But you have to be aware that sometimes individuals will play upon this and they will use this to hack your psychology and influence you to engage with things just off of the emotional component and nothing else. Now, within modern society, there are individuals where they need this connection. They need human connection. They need community. But if you are engaging with a certain aspect of fitness from that perspective, it should be consciously done. And it should be consciously done because now you can sit back and you can understand that, all right, I'm doing this for the emotional component. I'm doing this for the community. I'm doing this for me being able to connect with other human beings. But maybe this might not be the best thing for me in the long-term duration of my health and wellness. And you see this a lot of times within the modern sphere of fitness. the painting of modern fitness isn't predicated on human performance and humans being able to function and maneuver within the external environment. A lot of times it is predicated on individuals simply being able to fit in with the crowd. And this comes at the, really, it comes at the price and the sacrifice of people fully being able to understand and really have an in-tune awareness of themselves. Fitness for us human beings is really predicated on us improving our abilities, capabilities, and our capacity, not just in the physical realm, but in the other realms as well. And so modern fitness isn't really painted within this picture. The modern sphere of fitness is predicated on what is happening in the now, what is happening in the latest upheaval, in the latest trend. For simplicity's sake, aesthetic. So what social media has done is social media has taken a snapshot of fitness and has delivered it to the individual and said, this is what fitness is. Unfortunately, for the modern individual, they believe that fitness sits at just looking good within their body. While yes, you want to look good within your body, you also want to feel good internally as well. And you also want to be able to perform good as well. If any of these keys are missing, then you might not be doing an activity that is within your best interest. And so really what this first key is do not immediately go within the latest fad or the latest trend. Sometimes things are just bottles in lightning. Certain individuals just came at the right time, the right place, and they're engaging with the right thing. There's nothing wrong with this. Individuals should be able to do these things. We live in a capitalist society. The freedom of the market gets to dictate what happens. And in certain ways, this should continue. But for you, the consumer, it's understanding that you must understand, what are you consuming? And is what you are consuming, is it going to lead to nourishment within yourself? And so what it's doing is, this first key is just to open your eyes so that when you begin to interact and begin to step into these things, there is a heightened key of awareness. Okay, I understand that maybe this isn't the best for my body, but I'm just doing this so that I can make friends, so that I can have that community, or I'm doing this so I can learn new things, or I'm doing this because I want to be able to get outside more, or I need to get my steps in for the day, or there's a nutritional component. So I get to make sure I'm eating and getting the right macro and micronutrients, or there's someone there who you're trying to see. So it's not just predicated on one aspect, it's predicated on opening your eyes and seeing. It's turning you into more of a conscious being. And so a lot of individuals, what happens is that within modern society, because of advertising, because of marketing strategies, the individual has their subconscious hacked. And when your subconscious gets hacked, you lay at the mercy of the feet of whoever it is that has done such a thing to you. So it's allowing you to sit back and be like, okay, cool. Now I understand a little bit what's going on. Now, when I decide to sign up for this class, or I decide to hire this trainer, or I even decide to begin in engaging with this thing myself, now it isn't within you just stepping into it fully blind and unaware and having to take people for granted. Now it's coming with you saying, okay, I have that awareness. I have the sovereignty and the authority to know that this might not be the best thing for me. And it's not staying within something too long. A lot of times the issue with fads is that fads quickly become outdated. And modern society is always advancing at a more rapid pace. So the issue with fads is that once the fad becomes outdated and new scientific research comes out, now what the individuals must do is the individual must immediately shift gears. But if you already go in and understand that this is just a fad, that this might not be the true iteration of fitness that is actually helpful and beneficial for your long-term health and wellness, then you know, okay, I'm just doing this for a little while. I'm just doing this to get my feet wet. I'm doing this just to get the engine going, getting things going. And then we can, after you've gained some more autonomy and more self-efficiency, then you can move on from there. But it's simply keeping yourself at bay and keeping yourself open so that when you log on to Instagram, when you log on to Twitter, or I apologize, X, when you log on to Threads, when you log on to Facebook, now when you see fitness and you see these things and you see ads and you see the businesses that are promoting things to you, you see the influencers that are pumping things out to you, now you know, okay, as a consumer, which of these things are actually going to help me and benefit me. So instead of you being just all over the place and seeing fitness as a multitude of things, now the dots can be able to connect. And now when you see something that's nice, new, and shiny, now you're able to say, okay, I know there's this nice, new, and shiny thing. I might even want to try this nice, new, and shiny thing because it's fun. It's something new. But I understand that I'm just doing this to aid in the bigger picture. And so it's letting you understand what is the bigger picture for you. The bigger picture is you want to grow, improve, and progress, and you want to maintain a high level of health and wellness. This will lead to not just a long life, but a high quality of life as well. Moving on to key number 2. Impracticality. So within the modern fitness sphere, and another issue is that because there is so many individuals within the industry and the industry is continuing to grow and expand, this is leading to a lot of competitiveness within the industry. There's a lot of individuals who enter the industry from what they can take instead of what they can give. And so because there's this taking mentality within the modern fitness industry, you get a lot of individuals that are always trying to one up each other. So instead of coming at it from the perspective of how can I best help individuals and help people, the individuals still think, okay, how can I look the best so that people come to me so that they can give me their resources so that I can advance my career. And the issue with this is that a lot of times this leads to methods, techniques, and mechanisms that are impractical for the average everyday individual. And so instead of it being helpful for the average day individual, it creates more of pain. It creates more confusion. It creates more unnecessary complexity instead of the simplicity that really fitness should be for the average everyday individual. So for you, the individual watching this, the more overly complex or impractical something is, the more likely it isn't the best solution for your health and your wellness. Guys, I said in another video, health, wellness, fitness, improving yourself is extremely easy. A lot of times the things that are being showcased to you within modern society have been told to you before. And it doesn't have to be where I use an analogy with an individual the other day. We were having a conversation about kind of the modern economic sphere and about finances and how complex things have gotten with fiat currencies and the American dollar since things have shifted from the gold standard. And the conversation came to a point where I said, man, we have to, let's say there's a McDonald's down the street and it's straight down the street. And all we have to do to get to that McDonald's is keep driving straight. And then once we get there, take a left. But within modern society, instead of it being straight and take a left, we have to, if you guys have ever used Google Maps or you used maps on the iPhone, you guys know how frustrating this could be. And this is kind of how modern fitness and modern society is. In order to get to your end goal, instead of you going straight there and taking a quick left, you have to go up over the mountain. You have to bust 2 rights. You have to hit a U-turn. You got to stop at like 5 red lights. You got to, wait for the granny to cross the street. Nothing wrong with letting the granny cross the street. But you have to do 10 times as more to get to the same result unless you just went straight and took the left. So it becomes a lot easier for you. But within modern fitness, this doesn't happen for the individual because there's so many people adding complexity to it because they want to seem like they're better or that they're more enlightened or that they're more intelligent than everyone else. And so if you see someone and they are seeming to be a little bit more articulate or enlightened than what they really are, then perhaps they might not know as much as you think they do. And they might be leaning on a niche in order to narrow individuals' perspective and then deliver that perspective to you and giving it to you as if this is what fitness is. Guys, fitness is, I'm going to keep saying this. I'm going to keep preaching to you guys. Fitness is incredibly simple. You do not have to buy anything. You do not have to go anywhere. You can do fitness anywhere. You can do fitness in your living room. You can do fitness outside. You can do fitness sitting on the couch. Even right now, you're doing fitness, even though you're just sitting there. Now you can increase your fitness from here. So the whole earth is your gym, this rock we're living on, this entire thing. So when you view it from that perspective, and then fitness is more than there, because fitness goes deeper within the different aspects of yourself, just not just physical, but the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual as well. So you can always grow, you can always improve, you can always progress. But don't allow individuals to tell you that this is what fitness is and this is the only way that you can engage with it. There are a multitude of ways that you can do such a thing. And so you have to do what works for you. So if something is impractical, then do something that is a little bit more practical for you. Don't submit to the notion that you have no options, that you have no choices. You have an infinite amount of choices. You have a infinite amount of pathways from which you can improve on and work yourself. Now, the simplistic nature of the principles should be kept, but from there you can really do anything. And this is why you see so many people, like it's almost like if you wanted to step into the fitness industry, this is how you carve out a niche for yourself. So keeping this in mind, you now understand, okay, I have choice. I have an ability to not only work on, but improve myself in whatever way, shape, form, or fashion that I decide to do so. So you guys keep this in mind. And if something seems too good to be true, or if something seems a little bit too far out there, do what works for you. Craft your own unique game, going back to one of the earlier episodes, and you'll see way more progress than ever before. Going into key number 3, over specificity. Now, this dives really into the body and not just movement, but really us as human beings. Guys, your body has the ability to move in infinite directions infinitely. Guys, your body is constantly touching infinity. Infinity isn't just some far out there notion out in a far off universe. Infinity is a concept that exists right here now with us human beings. So keeping that in mind, your body is a tool, a mechanism, a structure that we use to maneuver around the external environment, and it helps and aid us to relate to the external environment. So guys, you have the ability to move in infinite directions. But what happens is that because individuals restrict themselves and they set themselves in certain environments, your body adapts to the environment that you have set it within. So, for example, if you are in the environment of sitting on the couch all day looking at a black box, the body will adapt to that environment, meaning that the muscle tissue, your physiology, your internal organs, your psychology, even your spiritual nature your consciousness will shift to that environment. And so you're limiting the body's ability within a tiny scope so that it can survive and maximize the capabilities of you surviving within that environment. Now, the problem with this is that it's a give and a take. So there's sacrifice within this. And so let's say you are a powerlifter, right? Powerlifters, their quotation mark sport only exists within a vertical and horizontal pathway of motion. And so the body will adapt to this. And so the issue with over specificity is that you do not give the body the ability to express itself in infinite ways. And the issue is that because you don't do this, there are certain muscle tissues, muscle fibers, and there's certain corrective or neurological pathways that don't get activated. And so your body is never able to engage fully as it should be able to. So I realized this when I was doing powerlifting, and I realized that I didn't have a strong enough hip drive, and I didn't have the adequate range of motion within my hips. But in the gym I was training at, I noticed Olympic weightlifters and how they were able to exert more power than I was. And I realized that my body had become so morphed to the movements that I was doing that it couldn't express in any other manner. So when my body needed more muscle tissues or it needed more force exertion, it couldn't recruit the necessary muscle fibers because the body didn't understand how to recruit them, because the body had never been in those ranges of motions before. So I began to do some of the movements of the Olympic weightlifters. I began to do some of the movements of high-level athletes. And what I noticed was that not only in everyday life was I beginning to move and express and behave differently, I also began to see that when I went to those movements, now if there was a discrepancy or if there was an error in my technique, the new pathway of movement that I had worked on, now my body had been trained to recruit those muscle fibers even subconsciously. So now it would aid me. So for max strength, at some point, your technical efficiency is going to diminish the more you get towards max load. And so when the technical efficiency begins to decrease and your movement pathway begins to advert, what will aid you and keep you from either missing a lift or getting injured? And so if other muscles aren't trained or primed or have never been engaged properly, when they begin to be engaged, then we all know what happens. So over specificity, it places you within a box. And if you place your body within a box, when it tries to get out of the box and it tries to break free of the box, you might hurt other things. So you never want to train within a box. Yes, when you engage in your sport, it's like basketball. Basketball players train basketball, but just because they train basketball doesn't mean they're immediately going to be able to step onto a football field. It doesn't mean they'll be immediately able to step onto a baseball field. Baseball players, just because they're good at baseball doesn't mean they're immediately going to be able to hop onto a lacrosse field. So because the body is being trained, and the body, even neurologically, certain movement patterns have been embedded within the subconscious mind, so that when you begin to engage or your body gets into the environment, now your body's like, oh, we've been here before. I know what's going on. I know what to expect. There is a lowering of fear and a lowering of restriction within the body because your body has been in that environment before. But if your body has never been in a certain environment before, then it begins to get tight and tense, and there's a level of restriction within it. So it's not over specifying. Yes, you want to have specificity. Specificity is very important in training, but you need some variability as well. If there's no variability, then you're placing your body within a box. And then if your body is placed in any environment where it has to express outside of the range of that box, then there is a likelihood that you could end up getting injured and hurt. So moving on to key number 4, a lack of individualization. And guys, within modern fitness, there is a lot of generalization that is going on. For even in science, science can't 100% pinpoint every single human being on the planet. Science doesn't really have any. It has some data and it has some measures for analyzing anomalies, but an anomaly is an anomaly. And so not everyone is an anomaly. Most people fall within the norm, but there are ranges. There are different sides of the scale. So you have to have a certain level of individualization. And so one of the problems within modern fitness is that people subscribe to programs, they subscribe to protocols, but they do not take their unique situation into account and into place. This kind of goes back into key number one, where a lot of people adhere to fads, but this is a little bit different. This is more so you're subscribing to a thing, but you don't know how to structure it to your unique situation and circumstance. So you see some improvement, you see some gains, but you don't necessarily see the max progress that you would see if it was fully geared towards your situation. So for example, a lot of my clients, when they come to me or when I've worked with people in the past, I like to personalize programs. Now I would have a skeleton of the program, but for each person, I gear it a little bit different. So for example, let's say you are a bodybuilder and let's say you've been bodybuilding for years, right? I might subscribe to you 5 sets of 15 reps. And for those 5 sets of 15 reps, you breeze through those 15 reps like it's nothing, but you've been bodybuilding for years. So, but you're saying, man, like the program says 5 sets, 15 reps. Why am I not seeing any progress? Well, it's because based on your unique situation, you need to be doing more reps. So the individualization for you will come. It's like, all right, instead of doing 15 reps, you should probably be doing 20, maybe 25 reps. But for someone who's just coming to the gym, they see those 5 sets, 15 reps, and they're like, dog, that's way too much. I'm going to die today. And so they might not even be able to do 15 reps. They might only be able to do 10. So the individualization comes in where, all right, you do 10 reps. And then individualization even goes even further before this. So let's go into sleep. So for me, I cannot function without at least 8 hours of sleep. If I do not get 8 hours of sleep, I will literally be like a zombie the next day. But for someone else, 6 hours I just need 6 hours of sleep and I'm good. Someone else might be, I need 7.5. Or another individual is, man, I need to sleep in pitch black darkness. Next individual is, I need to sleep with like some kind of light on. Some individuals, hey, I need to like 15 minutes in the sauna. That's perfect for me. Another individual, man, I got to do like 30 minutes or I don't feel like I even did anything. One individual, hey, 30 seconds in the shower. Next individual, 60 seconds in the shower. So a lot of you individuals, you guys are seeing a lot of these protocols online, on social media, on YouTube, and even within everyday life. And it's for you to take those protocols and then gear it, individualize it for yourself. So once you have the protocol, sit back and go, okay, cool. I have this information. How do I shift and steer this information and mold it within such a way that I can essentially have it be of use to me? So guys, essentially what's happening within modern society is that it's becoming like a buffet. So you go to a buffet and you see a whole bunch of different foods. And so you're given a plate and you can come back and get lots of plates, but you get to choose your meal. And so yes, go out and choose your meal and choose what you want to eat. Just don't overstuff yourself. So it's choosing what works for you, choosing what you want, and choosing what is beneficial. Like if you're lactose intolerant, don't go over to the ice cream because it probably has lactose in it. Don't drink that milk over there. If you have celiac disease, sorry, those cupcakes and those brownies might not be the best for you, but it's still a buffet. You can still eat whatever you want. So I hope you guys begin to individuate. And this is for you to truly begin to express your uniqueness. And this is what more individuals, this is essentially what fitness should be. Fitness should be people expressing their inherent uniqueness that is within themselves. But within modern fitness, you do not see this. Within modern fitness, what you see is people subscribing to the norm. And there's nothing wrong with subscribing to the norm. There's nothing wrong with subscribing to certain things. But the problem comes when you subscribe to this and now you're doing things and you don't really know why you're doing it. You go to the gym, everyone's sitting on machines, swinging their legs. So I'm going to sit on the machine and swing my legs. And I guess this is fitness. No, You don't have to subscribe to it. You can, hey, I'm going to go to the gym. All right, I'll sit on the seat and swing my legs a couple times, but then I got to go and I'm going to do some box squats. I'm going to go and I'm going to do some box jumps. I'm going to go and I'm going to push this sled. I'm going to go and I'm going to do this thing. So, or I'm going to hop on the treadmill, or I'm going to hop on the bike. So it's not immediately allowing yourself to be programmed and influenced, but it's you going back and say, okay, I know what I need to be doing. Now let me create this game. Let me do what's actually going to be beneficial for me. So have some individualization, and you'll probably see so much progress. And this is why most individuals don't see progress, because they'll subscribe to something and they'll do something, but then they'll immediately stop. I remember when I won my first powerlifting competition, I went so deep into myself, and it became almost like a process of not just releasing trauma and doing, self-development and, finding God, but it was a process of when I fully realized just the potential of us as human beings. Guys, when you begin to fully individuate, what you're doing is you're allowing the truth of yourself to fully manifest within the world. And so when you're able to do this on a conscious level, it's almost like you're giving yourself a gift. And most people, they don't do this, even though they want to do this. A lot of times individuals, they're told how to act. They're told how to behave. They're almost conditioned to operate within certain ways. And so when you begin to individuate, then now you're not being conditioned. Your actions, your behaviors, it's not predicated off of what other people really are trying to force you to do. It's being predicated on like what's actually going to be beneficial for you. So you really, like in life, you have to create that discrepancy. Like, okay, what are people telling me? And what have I been told? Is this the truth based off of not just your experience, because you might be viewing things from just a narrow perspective, but off of the full range of perspectives and information and experiences I've had? And then what is actually going to be beneficial for me in the long term? And based off of these two things, what is the correct action I should take? And so this will help a lot of you. So going into the final key, the modern issue with fitness, disconnection. So in the last episode, I said that the fitness industry needed to fully come together and have unity that is seen in a lot of other industries, but is not seen within the modern fitness industry. And disconnection will look like this. Let me paint this picture for you. Susie is driving to the gym after her 9-to-5 job. It is currently 5:15 and she is stuck in traffic. She has been in her cubicle all day doing phone calls and working on menial tasks for her company. After she gets to the gym, she maybe texts one of her friends, but she doesn't have too many friends. Maybe 2, maybe 3 that she sees every once in a while. But besides that, she doesn't see anyone else. She lives by herself in an apartment and she has a cat. Now, she gets to the gym and she really would love to have conversations with people. But when she gets there, every single person is looking down at their phone. They have stiff neck and they have their headphones in. And she begins to work out and she's at the gym for about 90 minutes. And throughout the entire time at the gym, she is completely by herself, even though she goes to one of the most populated gyms in the country, where on average, there's about 1,000 people that go through there a day. And while she's in there, there could be anywhere from 100 to 200, maybe 300 people in there. But even though she's around so many humans within a physical realm, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally, there's nothing but disconnection. So you guys, you have to understand the modern world is one in such that even though we as humans have come together within the digital world, we have disconnected physically, not just from nature, not just from the body, but we have disconnected in such a sense that when we're out in everyday life and we see other human beings, even on the street, we do not actually see human beings. We see compartmentalizations, we see identifications, we see projections from our mind, from the internal programming that has happened within us from modern society about what we believe that human or that thing to be. So therefore, we do not engage with them. Guys, people are way more complex than what you initially think. But because we make such simplistic identifications, we never are willing to dive deeper than what our previous inclinations have been. So, for example, a lot of times you see this within the industry, you see different sects feuding with each other. So you see powerlifters feuding with bodybuilders and feuding with Olympic weightlifters and feuding. Everyone hates CrossFitters and they feud with the calisthenic people and everyone's feuding. But the idiocy of it is that every single person is working on the exact same thing. We're all trying to grow better and improve ourselves. And we wouldn't be within that space if we weren't doing so. And so this is a nature within us as human beings. So it's something that goes back deeper since we were apes living in the forest. Tribalism. Guys, we must become aware of our nature as humans and begin to push past that and begin to look deeper within each and every individual, because the beauty that is within each and every individual can make itself manifest only if we are willing to look underneath the surface. But there are too many humans that exist only within the physical realm. What you see is what you get. And this is to the negative effect of us as human beings. Guys, what's going on right now in the world is a tragedy. There is no reason why there should be wars going on in Ukraine, Russia, with Palestine and Israel. It is a disgrace. We should have learned from the past. We should have learned from our ancestors and have continued forward to step into a new day and a new dawn. But we continue as humans to dive back into our more primal natures. Guys, you see this not just within the world. We see this within industries, people continuing to feud with each other over foolishness. Within the modern fitness industry, there must be a common understanding that we are here to grow and better and improve ourselves. If this is not the main mission, then most of the individuals within the industry should leave it. This is what leads to innovation. This is what leads to revolution. This is what leads to progress. This is what leads to the creation of great nations, communities, and technology. It's for the helping and bettering of people. Look out in the world. Look at your iPhone. Study Steve Jobs. Look at Tesla, Elon Musk. Look at Amazon. Some of the greatest inventions, some of the most insane creations was all predicated on helping people. Guys, we are meant to give and express. When you take and you hold within, and then you demean and you restrict and you judge and you oppress, you are bastardizing the purpose for us as being here as human beings. I hope this episode was of value to you, the individual, and I hope you begin to put on the glasses and see through the thick veil of the modern fitness industry. Do not fall prey to some of the mechanisms, influences, and suggestions that you see within the outer everyday world. You have choice in the matter. Knowledge is power, and power does give one choice in authority and sovereignty over their life. And I hope each and every one of you can begin to express such a thing, as there are certain things in place that seek to rob this from you and have you be like the sedentary individuals from the Disney movie WALL-E. Do not end up like such an individual, even though such individuals can still express, improve, and grow. No, you are not lost, no matter what circumstance or situation you are in. There's always hope. Even on the darkest of nights, the stars still exist. Even if there is a thick cloud that covers across the night sky, the hope doesn't have to be seen. You can have faith that it is there. I hope you all enjoyed this week's episode of the Flow University YouTube channel. You all stay blessed.